Hey everyone, welcome to the video 4 of that lecture on freshwater resources. And with this video, we will conclude this lecture, this topic. We will look at some tactics, some approaches we can use for to reduce our consumption of water. And though we saw that one of the main consumption of water was agriculture, I will not talk about agriculture in this part since we already covered it in the food system. But first, we can look at what we can do at home to reduce our consumption. We can work first on the main consumer of water at home, which we've seen was in fact the toilet. 25% of the water that we use at home is in fact spent in the toilet. At home, in fact, it's estimated that we are kind of every day doing at least 5 flush per person per day. At the workplace, 3 flush per person per day. So in those places where, well, we do have to use a restroom, it would be good to use less water every time we flush. And that has been done, in fact, and the normalization has happened in the past decades ago. Every flush was about 3 to 7 gallons. Nowadays, it's about 1.6 gallons per flush every time. 1.6 for when you have the solid waste, I would say, and half of it when it's liquid waste only. Urinals used about 1 gallon per flush maximum, sometimes normally less than that. And there are in fact some urinals that do not use any water at all. So there are ways to reduce and to even reduce more the amount of water from there. We'll talk about another strategy in just a little bit. From that, the second main consumer of water is the shower and bathtubs. So they also went through a reduction of the amount of water that goes every time we're using them. Instead of talking about flush, we're looking at the time per minute. And so the amount of water has been reduced by between half to 3 times, and giving about the same feeling in terms of the water that we're receiving. So has been a pretty good improvement. Then also the clothes washer, the washing machine has been, they've been working hard to move from about 35 to 27 gallon and even less per load. So there have been some consequent improvement. Another thing that could be done, and California, I mean, here in Central Valley, it's kind of so on the way to do because we don't have, I would say, that often rain during the year. Mostly it works for winter, but it can be a possibility. It's rainwater harvesting by using those tanks outside and at least use that water for the garden. We can improve, in fact, those systems, especially for the toilets, by, in fact, connecting our wastewater to some of the tools that we are using at home. And so we have to differentiate between black water and gray water in this purpose. Black water will be all the water that comes very dirty, so mostly all the water that comes from toilet and the kitchen. Those tend to be heavily concentrated in matter, and so that should be going into a black pipe that goes directly into water treatment, and in the water treatment plant, it will be cleaned up and it can be released then in the nature, but we cannot do directly anything with it. It has to be clean. The gray water, which is water that is lightly concentrated with maybe soap or little dirt, but that's it. So mostly water coming from the bathroom and the laundry could be used before being sent to the water treatment. It could be used first to the toilets or to the system of irrigation, maybe to a cooling tower if we do have that fire suppression system. But for main home, those gray pipes, could be connected to toilets and the irrigation system of the outside. So it could be a possibility to reduce the amount of fresh water, since in some way you're kind of looping your system, you're making a cycle. And this has to become more of a use. It hasn't been like implemented in most homes at this point. So that's unfortunate because it will help saving a lot of water. Another water consumption from residents is in fact landscaping. We use a lot of water we consume a lot of water to water our grass. It's estimated to be between 40–60%. So about half of the water using at home goes into the grass, which is of course something that tend to be a lot. And we can see from those graphs the amount of water used, in particular during summertime, there is a huge increase, more than of water because of the grass. If we use a technique called xeriscaping that you use traditional plant, local plants, you're removing grass to have plants that are from the place and that are used, for example, in our case, to drought more succulent type of plates, for example, using mulch also on the surface to retain moisture. And to obtain something like that we see more and more, well, by using xeriscaping, we are in fact using about 3 times less water. And that's a lot. So there is a huge amount of water that can be saved. And if we speak to someone, in fact, that's making this person saving money. You see that you're saving at least 2/3 of the money that you would spend in conventional grass. So xeriscaping is a way to go. And in fact, more and more is happening. I forgot to mention also, it allows to use drip irrigation system, which is a better system of irrigation, as we saw, instead of using the usual sprinklers, as we can see right here. One last thing to mention is that if I'm going back to a slide that we saw in video 3, is we also need to go back, to modify our bad habits and to water our landscape at best time during the day, which is early in the morning at the sunset, or early at the sunrise, sorry, or late evening at the sunset. So those 2 times would be best to water the garden and the grass, instead of doing it during the full day where evaporation is higher. One thing that we can do also as individual is making good decision about food. We saw that food tend to consume a lot of virtual water. The most processed is the food, the more virtual water it will be consuming, or the highest is the food in the chain of the food pyramid, the highest also water will be consumed. So of course, I give you 2 examples with a nice hamburger versus a more regular sandwich, but see the difference in terms of water being used by those is that the burger is estimated to use about 3,000 liters of water. It's a bit less than 1,000 gallons, but it's a huge amount. Versus a sandwich is 600 liters. So the sandwich uses 5 times less water than the hamburger in itself. So there is, just by making the correct choice, we saw that it can help reducing the amount of greenhouse gases, have less impact on the environment, but and one of the reasons is also using less fresh water for the production of that food. So that is something that we can easily all do. Then we will also, cities have implemented way to change and to save some water. One successful story has been New York. New York has a massive water supply system, but by the 1970s, the consumption of water was exceeding the availability of water. And so the city has worked over a huge conservation effort trying to save water as much as possible. They implement water meter in every home to, in fact, monitor the water consumption of everyone, making, in fact, responsible the people for the water they will consume. So people were more careful of using the water, of consuming it. They replace the toilet to lower flush, since we saw that it's costing 25% of the consumption. They made sure that leaks were repaired, and they did some home inspection just to double check that everything was fine. They went through specific program of education to let know the public how to more carefully use water, how to save money, mostly because the leaks or the overuse of water was costing them money. And so with all of this fact, they were able, in fact, they had successfully been able to manage their water consumption based on the amount of water they had available. If we keep as a city has a problem of water infiltration. Normally, when you're outside of the city or you have a couple of houses, when it's raining, there is some runoff between 10 to 20%, but there is also 40% easily that goes into your soil, thanks to the vegetation that will, either throw directly from the ground or thanks to the vegetation that will suck the water and place it into the soil. If you're in a city, the problem is it's covered with, it's all covered with streets, with buildings, and so there is no more this layer that allows water so much to go in. And so you're reducing the amount of infiltration, and you're reducing by easily 4 or 5 times the infiltration, and most of the water is instead running off, moving away on the surface to some other places. So there is need of improving that infiltration. We have to be able to infiltrate more the water in the soil. To do that, we can use bioswales, which are just small depression along maybe some streets or a park where the water will in fact accumulate, and it will allow to infiltrate inside of the soil. All of this water can infiltrate, and it will also be cleaned up thanks to the vegetation that is happening just locally. We can use paving that is porous. Instead of having this impermeable paving, we can use a porous paving. This porous paving mostly works through the joint, which tend to be filled up with some kind of rock that allows the water to go through, and it's also allowing for filtration of the water. And then we see also that popping more and more, the rain gardens that happens usually along the streets, on the walkway, and that allows for water. Usually it has some kind of small depression and allows the water to go and infiltrate this rain garden, where it will also be filtered by the vegetation being absorbed, and the water will be in fact going through the soil. So this has been ways that has been happening more and more in the cities to allow water to infiltrate, avoiding runoff, which has also another issue. It can be causing flood. So it's not a good thing to deal with flooding. So ideally, this is decreasing the chance of flooding. A couple of more things that can be done in terms of water is, in particular, the water treatment. So water treatment, when the water, let me show you everything. When the water is dirty, for example, from the black water we saw previously, it will be sent to a water treatment plant, where it will go through a primary filtration. This primary filtration, which is right here or right here, is in fact just a physical filtration where all the dirt that are big particles will be settling down at the bottom of the water tank. And so just by using density, gravity, the particles will go to the bottom part, and the water in itself will be above it. We take away what is called the sludge, this dirt. We take it away into a digester that will be getting rid of this sludge and send usually to some field to be used as fertilizers. And we keep working on the water because the water still kind of has some dirtiness into it. But at this point, we're using biological process. Mostly we're using bacteria. We send some bacteria to work to decompose that organic matter, to destroy that organic matter, and our water here. And this water is cleaned up. Unfortunately, we cannot drink it yet because it's full of bacteria, so we will be sick. So we need to get rid of the bacteria. And so we have two techniques there. Either we use bleaching, so chlorine, to clean it up, or the other way would be to use UV light also, which is more expensive, but better because you don't have to use another chemical to try to treat your water. And so when you're reaching the secondary treatment here, ideally you may use chloride, you may use UV light, or a combination of both to get rid of your bacteria. And then this water can be released into a lake, into a river, and can be part again of the natural cycle. So this is the work of a water treatment. Then we've seen that for one last thing, we saw that one of the main issues in the world will become that the water stress. People will be having less and less availability of water. And so you can come with a question about desalination plants. And yes, we can use desalination plant to take the water from the ocean that we know it's salty, and to get rid of the salt and to make fresh water out of it. The US has a big production of water from desalination plant. The Middle Orient, which are countries that are pretty rich thanks to the petroleum they have, but not having too much access of water. If you remember the map, maybe I can show you back, but the Middle Orient is suffering from a very, very high water stress. Let's see this map right here. You see right there, this region, it has a huge stress on water, meaning they don't have access to enough water. So they are practicing the conversion of water from salt water. It's very expensive, so only countries with high income and high technology can afford that. But also, the way it works is kind of not the best, I would say. We're taking the seawater, so let's say that you're taking 1 gallon of seawater, you will send it into your desalination plant, and you will get half of a gallon of fresh water. The other half is in fact what we call brine water. It's water very, very concentrated in salt, because in fact, the salt that you add to your seawater will be taken away from the fresh water, I mean, from the portion of the fresh water, but it will be placed into the other brine water. The downside of that are two. This is very energivore. It's consuming a lot of energy, and at this point, those power plants work with fossil fuel energy consumption and release a lot of CO2 as they work. So not great. The process tends to be kind of inefficient. You're only making 50% at best of fresh water, and you're accumulating this other 50%, which is in fact full of salt water. And so this creates some local pollution as you release this brine water. The soil, if you release it in a lake or in an aquatic environment, you will overdose that place with salt. And if you do it on the soil, you will in fact dry up the soil. So it's pretty bad for the pollution. Then another thing too is it tends to damage the marine ecosystem from the pumping itself. So there is also these issues. So this is in some way a solution, an extreme solution, but it's not the best, and we shouldn't be relying on that. So let's see if ideally we are able first to reduce our consumption as country, as state, as city, and as individual first before trying to go with such more radical solution. All right? With that, we're done with this lecture. Thank you very much, and I'll see you then for our next lecture, which I don't remember which one we're going to talk about. So we'll discover that together. See you next. Bye.